And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Melody, and this is my dad, and we're reviewing Rivet Wars.
Rivet Wars is from Cool Mini or Not, and actually has cool miniatures in it. They're like little dudes. Here's a guy riding a horse.
Looks like a fat pony.
Looks like a metal pony with a gas mask on. And it kind of takes World War I in a sense, like the steampunk theme, and takes the horrors of war and makes them almost cutified in this game. I don't know how to explain it. When these guys die, you don't go, oh man, you're like, well, I got more. That's terrible, I guess. But Rivet Wars is a very light miniatures game, war game, very light. Let me show you how it plays. Alright, the first thing we want to do is we want to look at the models for this game. So the models are really cool. They're like little cute gentlemen here. These are the regular troops for each of the battle, and you can see that they have a very distinct different look despite being a different color. These guys are carrying around little rocket launchers, and these guys have little soldiers, the little World War I hats. We also have some artillery guns for both of the armies. Really like, again, how each of the armies is a very different style. These are those old, again, World War I, and then here we have the howitzer. Just pretty some cool little weapons, and then bikes. And this is where I mean, this bike cracks me up. I would want to ride in this for fun. I don't think I would want to ride in this to battle. And this one here has like rockets on it, and it's jumping over to different things. And then we have the big daddies. Everyone wants to use this one or its counterpart here. And these come with, this is a really cool feature of the game, they come with these plugs in them, okay? But you can buy upgrades and put either like a gun, so here I can take this out and put an anti-infantry gun in this thing, or even take that out and put like a hero, a general, who fits into it. And so there's different kinds of plugs that can go in these, and I thought that was a very neat, easy feature. I should also mention here that when some of these have more than one hit point, and when you take more than one hit point, there's these little red chips. And these little red chips can be put into one of the sides. It's actually a pretty cool idea because it means when they move, it's very easy to see their damage, and the damage moves along with them when you move them. However, they are kind of tiny and not so easy to fit in as I thought they would be. Sometimes there's some fumbling with that, but once they're in, they do stay in easily. The next thing I want to talk about is the different units. These are the different units for one of the armies. You have this card you can put in front of you. The card actually flips over to show you the units of the other side, and then there's even a deck of cards for each of the units in case you just want to look at a few of them. But this shows you your units. Now it shows a lot of stats, but it's really not that complicated. When you look here, for example, the infantry here, this is how much it costs to deploy him. Each turn you get a certain number of deployment points based on the scenario, and you can bring them out, and some of them cost just regular units, although some have also, like this Sturmpanzer here has a rivet cost here, 3 rivets it costs also. The number in the foot is their movement, and the number in the cross is their hit points. And then this is the type of unit it is, so it shows a 1 shield, and that matters because when you're attacking somebody else, you look at your range, and there's 2 range numbers. One's for air units aren't in this game, that's in the cloud, but the other one's on the ground. It shows how many times you can attack. They can attack once. And then how many dice you get against each other type. So these Panzerfaust guys only get 1 dice against infantry, but they get 2 dice against, they get 3 dice against like bikes and artillery, 2 dice against tanks, and nothing against the big giant mega tanks. While these bikes, they have a chain attack, 1 attack, but if it hits, they get to shoot again. And you can see they're good against infantry, but that's basically it. And then this Sturmpanzer here, he has good dice against other tanks, and he has 2 attacks, and he also has specials. There's lots of different specials, like, for example, this tank has dash, which means he can move 2 in the attack phase rather than just in a movement phase, and also tank shock, which is essentially can run over people. And then it also shows, like, here's the gun that you can add to the tank. And so there's different things. You have a heroes that you can bring out, or special infantry units, and then there's the artillery weapon. Players are going to set tiles up, and the tiles here are double-sided, and you can make them in different configurations. And basically, these tiles are going to show how the scenario starts, but there's going to be strategic points in the middle. And if you have units in those strategic objectives at the end of your turn, you'll score points. Over here, you can see this here keeps a track of how many points. There's a certain number of points you need to win, usually 10 points. You can also keep track. Each turn you have a bunch of deployment points, maybe 4 or 6, to spend on units to bring out. And you also might get some rivets. Maybe you get 1 rivet per turn. So you keep track of your rivets here because you can save those from turn to turn. This also shows a hit gun attack order, and that matters because if you'll notice here on the board, there are squares, and as units move from one square to the other, like let's say these guys are here, and this area gets attacked, he has to be hit first because he's at a number 1 spot. So it might matter where you put them. But when units move, they simply move from big square to big square. There's also some other movement restrictions on the board. It's not really a trench, but these are boards here in the middle. This allows infantry to move faster when they start on those. Strategic points can only be moved into by infantry, or these bunkers here can only be moved into by infantry. But on your turn, you're going to deploy a bunch of stuff, and your scenario will tell you where you deploy it, usually in the back row. And then you can attack with the different things you have if stuff is within range. When you attack, you'll roll dice, like I said. 5s and 6s are hits, and there's things that can modify that and such, and you'll just blow units up, and then you move them, and you try to get to strategic points, and your stuff gets blown up, and essentially you just keep deploying more and more and more and more. It's not like you're ever going to run out of units. You might run out of enough of a type of unit based on the models in the game, but to bring out more of these units until eventually someone wins. You will, at the beginning of your turn, get to draw an action card, and action cards have all sorts of different things they can do. They give you extra deployment points. They might give you a strafing run that attacks a certain spot on the board. They might put gas out on the board. That's what those yellow markers over here are for. You also can draw up the 2 secret missions, and these secret missions will give you extra points based on if you do them. Kill an enemy hero, get an extra point. Kill an enemy unit using tank shot, etc. Once you accomplish one of these, you'll show it. I got this, therefore I get those points. Also, if you look at the units here, some of the units, when you kill them, will give you victory points. So this is certainly not a long game because you're going to get victory points by killing big enemy units. You'll get victory points by controlling these spots in the middle and by accomplishing mission cards. First person to get the number of victory points needed to win the mission is the winner. All right, Melody, what do you think of this?
I thought it was a fun, cool game. I liked how you can put the miniatures and then put them out and try to get the little yellow bases. They're called like strategy.
Strategic points, yes.
But I also thought it was cool how you had these little secret missions to try to do a certain thing. And it's also really easy to get points.
Yeah, I mean, the game, first of all, we need to make it very clear. This is an easy game. It looks like there's lots of stats, looks like there's stuff. You're just putting guys down, chucking dice, rolling dice, putting things out.
Yeah,
you don't have to sit there and you're like, I don't know what to do. This is so confusing. Now you're like, just put these guys out and see what happens. And it's neat because the infantry guys are pathetic, okay? But you need them in the game because they're the only ones who can control those strategic points. Yeah. So they go, strategic point, and then you blow them away.
Yeah, I always wondered the little circle things, the grade guys. They weren't that good. I didn't really have a fun time with them because they couldn't shoot strong people, just infantry people.
Well, yeah, but they were able to control the spots on the board, and that's what matters. Now, this game has people keep coming back and back and back and back again. What do you think of that? It wasn't like HeroScape. In HeroScape, you start with a force, I start with a force. If I kill your unit,
they're dead.
They're dead, nothing else. Here you kill units like, I have more. What did you think of that?
I thought it was nice because at first I'm like, oh wow, this is a big army. Because my dad kept killing me in the beginning. I was like, oh no.
That's right.
But then I won.
That's not the point. I've won too. Just not against you. But in Rivet Wars, there's one thing for me about Rivet Wars. First of all, it's like the first spoonful of a sundae, and then someone saying that's all you get. I think it's cool. I think it's easy to get into, but I want 2 boxes of it, so I have double the units.
New.
I want more stuff.
I think there is going to be because.
No, I know there is. I saw the pictures. They have airplanes and I mean even here it shows the different kinds of units and there's 1, 2s, and 3s.
Strengths and 4s.
But where's 4s and 5s? What is 5 anyway? Does it take up the whole board? It's me. I'm strength 5. But you know, I love to see that stuff. I want to play with the airplanes. I want to play with all this cool stuff. This was good. It was like an introduction. Now give me more. Was there anything about the game you didn't like? Okay. Well, for me, the only thing about the game I didn't like was the secret mission cards, where sometimes they're just not possible to get. It says kill an enemy hero, and it never puts a hero out on the board.
I did that, but it was like at the end of the game, so it didn't really count.
I would think it would be, I would maybe house rule it and say you can discard a mission card and draw one. Also, I wish there had been like 3 times the amount of secret mission cards and double the action cards. Just more cards, more variety. Even the boards, I wouldn't have minded if there had been more variety on the boards, although the boards are really cool looking. They look really good. And
they look like a battlefield.
The miniatures are amazing. And there's other terrain pieces. You got barbed wire that stops infantry, and tank traps that stop tank obstacles that stop tanks, and
gas.
I'm excited about this. It was fun, but it wasn't mind-blowingly fun. It was just really good, but it's like the taste of things to come. This is the beginning of Rivet Wars. I would love to see more of this in the future, and I think you could play this with. I mean, Melody picked up the rules really easily. I could easily teach this to younger kids.
It looks complicated, but it's simple.
Yeah, it is.
Simple.
And there's action cards and cool stuff. There's lots of luck involved with rolling the dice. But the cool miniatures, the ease of play, I think this is great. I think people who like complicated miniatures games will be disappointed by this. And I even wanted something a little bit more complicated, but I can see that it's coming. I can see more coming, and I'm excited about that. But even so, just for starter introductory for families and stuff, dads, get this for your kids. They will, or moms and dads, get this for your kids. They will love playing it with you. I had a lot of fun with it. Rivet Wars. Final thoughts?
It was a really good, simple game.
Alrighty.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.